Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome back to Tekpon. Today our guest is Rory, the founder and CEO at Scurri. Hello.
Hey, how are you, Christian?
Good. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Please tell us what your company does.
Yeah, look, I'm delighted to be here. Thanks very much for having me. So Scurri is a delivery management solution for e-commerce. And basically what we do is we help e-commerce merchants to provide a really good delivery experience for their customers. So our customers are really businesses, e-commerce businesses, and we provide them with the tools to make their delivery experience great for their customers.
What do you say is the biggest problem that you solve for your customer?
So the biggest problem really is to help them provide the best experience for delivery with their customers. So, without us, what you have is potentially lots of different delivery solutions, a different experience with each one of those. So by using a single platform, we allow the customer to have, regardless of how you deliver or what service you use, whether it's DHL or TNT or UPS, you get the same experience and you can create the same experience for your customers. And of course, controlling the customer experience and improving it and providing the best possible experience to your customers is something a lot of e-commerce merchants want to do.
And who is it for? What types of e-commerce businesses?
Lots of different e-commerce businesses. It doesn't really matter about the type of business, really. It matters about your attitude towards delivery and customer experience. Yeah. So we have customers like small merchants, and then we would have some of the biggest platforms in the world actually use our software, such as eBay.
Oh, wow. And is there any, let's say, barrier to entry? Or is it a minimum of revenue, customers, shipments? When is the right
Yeah.
time for an e-commerce business to start using a solution like yours?
Yeah. So to work directly with us, we tend to work with mid-market or enterprise customers. And when we say mid-market, it's probably somebody that's doing about 10 million or more in e-commerce revenue. And from there up, our software is used by a lot of platforms that have small merchants. So we'd have tens of thousands of smaller customers using our platform as a white label, but we don't deal directly with those. Yeah. So it's like a partnered approach where they're using our software.
Nice. That's great. And what are the top features in the platform?
Yeah, so the top features one is our rules engine. So our rules engine allows you to direct the parcel through, the most appropriate delivery method. So whether it's a locker, whether it's a particular courier that's better for those type of goods or delivers to that location better. And the rules engine is very effective and our customers really love that. The other thing is we have a Track Plus, which is an enhancement to tracking. So it allows you to use your tracking to send out communications or marketing messages to your customers. So that's really popular with the marketing people in the organization. Mm-hmm. And we've recently just acquired an AI company which helps with where is my order queries. So all the same questions that people get all the time, nice. Where is my order, what's wrong, etc. And we have an AI solution for that.
And what is the pricing? How does it work?
Pardon?
Pricing.
Oh yeah, how does the pricing work? Yeah, yes. So our pricing is based on two aspects. One is based on the amount of volume that you use. So It's a kind of volume based model. So the more volume you do, the lower the individual kind of unit price is. And then on the other axis, really, you would have the number of features and type of features. So we have a basic feature set that it's good for some customers, and then quite detailed ones. So depending on your mix of volume and the amount of features that you need, that determines the price.
Can you please share a success story of a customer? How you help them achieve some results, or why they use their solution, without any names or disclosing anything, just for people to understand.
Yeah. So we have a particular customer who is in the optical side of the business, really big company, one of the biggest in the world. And they use our software for one of their e-commerce brands. And that brand is quite big in Europe. They've actually 13 different countries and would have 13 different websites. So they deliver to 13 countries in Europe. They deliver out of two different distribution centers, one in the UK, one mainland Europe. And
Mhm.
we do things like for them, we do things like we help them inject um, volume into the local market. So we would take a parcel, a very large parcel. It's all, mostly contact lenses. Deliver it from York in the UK into, we'll say, Portugal. Then that's just goes straight into the Portuguese postal service, and they're able to compete with local businesses locally because they are using
Nice.
the local services. Yeah.
Nice. And how competitive is your space from your perspective? How do you see the market?
Yeah, it's quite competitive. So we would have probably three or four major competitors. Originally, we focused on the UK market, which we believe is probably the most complex market in the world. There's so just to give an example, in the US, you've got four carriers that covers the entirety of the US. It's about 50 in the UK.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot. It's a lot more complex there. So
Fragmented.
very fragmented, yeah. So we've got about four competitors in the UK. When you move into Europe, then each country probably has its own competitor. So yeah, it's very fragmented in terms of the players, and there's nobody does it globally. So each region really has their own specialists.
That's amazing. And how did you start the company? What was the idea behind it?
So the original idea behind it was slightly different, as with many entrepreneurs. So we tried to start up a marketplace where we would sell excess capacity, and really we were looking at arbitrage model of taking capacity that the carriers had and to resell it to small medium businesses.
Hmm.
And whilst there was an opportunity for that in Ireland, where we're from, it was actually quite competitive and lots of players in the UK, which was our next biggest market. So we kind of changed the focus after about 3 or 4 years and started to focus on what we're doing now. And yeah, left the other model behind.
In what year did you start the company?
Yeah, so we started in 2010, and
Okay, wow.
we made that change around 2014 or so.
And are you the only founder, or there are multiple co-founders?
Yeah, so effectively, I'm the only founder in the company. Started off my own advantages and disadvantages, of course, to that. Probably more disadvantages than advantages. And if I had to listen to people back then, yeah, I would have probably saved myself a little bit of loneliness and that. But yeah, interesting to do it on your own.
Would you do it again on your own?
No, I
If you
think I would.
knew, yeah.
No, I think I would try and see would it work. With co-founders. Of course, I've spoken to people who have had co-founders and I've had challenges with that as well. So, grass is always greener on the other side. I
Yeah.
think is the phrase that's used. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And how many people work now at Scurri?
Yeah, so in Scurry now we have almost 80 people, and we have probably about 65 of those here work in Ireland in Wexford, and the remainder then work remotely around Europe.
Hmm. Did you raise any funding?
Yeah, we've raised about 15 million in funding from a variety of a couple of VCs. We had some family offices, and then some angels and high net worth individuals as well.
And when was the last funding round?
Yeah, the last funding round was in 21, and at the height of of the COVID e-commerce boom, and we raised about 9 million at that stage.
Series A?
Yeah, we would consider that as a serious. Yeah, we had a number of seeds before because, as I said, when we changed the model, then yeah, it took us a while to kind of get that back up and running, etc. And we did the Series A in 21.
And would you say you have product market fit?
Yes, I would say we have product market fit, but obviously keeping product market fit is always is always an issue. So new entrants come in, the market change, etc. So you've got to keep an eye on that always.
What are the biggest challenges or mistakes, lessons that you learned along the journey?
Oh yeah, oh, there's a few. There's a few of those. Yeah. So I suppose some of the biggest mistakes are not focusing enough. Initially, I don't think you can be too tight on your ICP in the beginning. So I think we were way too broad. So the original model we tried, we were reselling shipping, but we were selling it not alone in parcels. We were selling it in lots of different categories. So there's a reason that each of these are industries. So parcel is different to less than load. That's different to, shipping animals or boats or whatever it is. And we
Yeah.
originally thought that we could have a single model that would, they were all the same technically,
Yeah.
yes, but not from a business model. So being focused is really really important. I didn't know a lot about finance before, so I had to learn a lot about finance. So I had worked in other companies and worked in larger companies, and there was a money kind of came to a project. You didn't have to do the kind of pitching and the reasons behind it. You had financial people who did all that, and as a project leader, you were given a budget and you had to manage the budget, so that was okay. But where the money came out of, you didn't really know. You thought you did. You had to do a business case, but that's a lot different than having to raise money and deal with finance. So I had dealt with budgets, that side of finance, but the actual raising finance and understanding that took a lot of learning. And I wish I knew a lot more about it. So in earlier stages, understanding term sheets, the complexities of that. You learn some lessons when you're doing that. And then the importance of people, and probably even hiring and firing. Hiring slowly and diligently, and firing fast and quickly when you often know well in advance that things are not working out, and you tend to give, for probably good reasons, people
Yeah.
every chance, etc.
Yes.
But it doesn't do the business very well.
Yeah. I appreciate this. How did you find your first customers?
I suppose one of the interesting things for me was that I had been in sales and marketing early on in my career, so I didn't find that difficult,
Okay.
talking to customers and going out and getting customers. The original model, we were a B2C model, and the prices were quite low in terms of fees, so it was all automated marketing. Then when we went to the B2B model, it was quite different. That was about putting together a go-to-market motion around sales, biz dev, and I was okay at picking up the phone and ringing people, just picking up the phone, ringing people, connecting with people, going out, and actually I liked that. So that was okay. So I did a lot of the sales in the early days, and up until quite recently, did a lot of led the sales. So getting the first customer was not that difficult. And our first customer, again, wasn't exactly what we had expected, but we just took the opportunity. They ended up being a carrier that needed the software that we had built, which we were expecting to sell directly to merchants. And we did a lot of work with that customer. They're still a customer of ours, but they
Nice.
actually funded a lot of the development because we did a lot of consultancy work with them as well. So we built a product for them and for ourselves, and it helped us fund the development of the business.
And today, what's the most successful go-to-market strategy for acquiring new customers?
Yeah, it changes all the time. So, I mean, I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this, somebody who was a little bit behind us on starting up, and they were asking, well, what's the magic bullet at the moment? And the magic bullet really is to keep trying different things. I think because as soon as you get good and you find something, it just seems that everybody else finds out that that works, and they follow you. So post COVID, what we found is events have been really good post COVID. So obviously, nothing happening on events, and everybody was talking about events being dead pre-COVID, but everybody had the appetite to get back together, and we've done very well with events post-COVID. But that's actually everybody's doing events now, so it's getting harder, and you have to be top of your game on that. And I think we're seeing the return on that, not as good as like a year ago, but we're still good at it. But so we just have to keep looking at different areas and exploring, testing, and seeing what is it that's the right channel, trying new channels, and just constant experimentation.
What is the future vision for Scurri?
Yeah, so I mean, the future vision is like it's a really interesting area. So when you think about it, getting a parcel into somebody's hands, there's a lot of parts to it. So we specialize in the moment in the whole area of connecting carriers, the tracking area, and the kind of where's my order queries. Returns is a big part, and that there's outbound, and then there's the return journey, which is almost as big as what we do. So we have some very basic returns capabilities, but building on that, I think is part of the vision. So really doing anything that can help customers achieve a good delivery, and we've been good at that in the UK and Ireland. Now we've started to get into Europe. We're very, very kind of launched into Germany and going into other European countries, and just being able to do that more in different places around the world is the vision for the next while. But, making delivery simple is something that no matter new technologies, new delivery methods, whether it's lockers or pick up and drop off locations, customers still need to get the goods into their hands, and even with e-commerce growing, it's more and more important.
Yeah, I love that vision, and I fully support you in reaching these goals. But let's take it from the different perspective. How you started your career now, taking a look at the past. So if you can share how you started your career and your story overall as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah, so my beginning of my career, I started in sales and marketing. So I started in customer service. I went out then actually field sales on the road, driving around selling to accounts. Yeah. So and I worked for a luxury goods company. So we sold crystal, china, homewares, all that kind of stuff. So into kind of quite high end boutiques and department stores, places like that. So really interesting, great business, very good at the company was great. It was publicly listed, and it was great at supporting employees. Did a lot of training there. I moved into marketing, and while I was in marketing, I got a job to help implement a CRM system, which I did pretty well. And my boss gave me, I thought, a promotion at the time. And he called me up and said, look, I've got something for you. Nice. He asked me to help implement SAP. So to put in work as a functional area specialist to put in SAP for sales and distribution. And that was really interesting. So I love that. I kind of got onto the technology side then, and I was pretty good at kind of working with technologists, explaining, in real world, they would explain to me what it did, and I was able to convert that into kind of real world, and started down that area. So I worked with a couple of companies as project and program managers,
okay,
and then started up Scurri.
And you left all that behind to start your own venture, right?
Yeah, I had just this burning thing all the time to just really wanted to start a company. It was always there. I don't know why. Now, I kind of got promoted, every couple of years, you kind of got promoted and said, okay, I'll just wait until I do this and then it will happen. But I remember saying at one stage, if I don't do it now, saying to my wife at the time, if you don't do it now, and then, she was going, well, you could have probably picked a better time because, we had our first kid and, it was, one of those times, but,
Yeah,
I think she thought I was having a midlife crisis. So she said, give it a year or two and then get a
you'll be
real
back.
job.
Yeah. But apparently not. Do you think that an entrepreneur is born or made?
That's a really good question. I think it's a bit of both. I think you can, everyone can be influenced by people, and it depends on it depends on environment. But it was really interesting. I was part of a study by a guy called Nathan Furr, who was he was in Stanford, and he did a look at people's heritage previously. So he was drawing a correlation between people whose grandparents had been in business. So my grandmother was a shopkeeper, had a little corner store, like a cigarette kind of
Nice.
store, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid being in the shop and just serving with her, and spent a lot of time there. Now, she worked 364 days. She took Christmas Day off. She worked 364 days a year. She started in the morning at 10 a.m. and closed at 10 at night, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And, yeah, and she
And we
worked till
talk
she was
about discipline.
92. She retired at 92 and she passed away at 99. So it didn't do her any harm in terms of, discipline. But, he had drawn a correlation between a lot of people who had their grandparents had business, and often what happens is the next generation sees the hard work and doesn't want to do it. That was his theory.
Oh, yeah.
So
I understand.
yeah, but it's kind of in the blood, is what he believes, is that there is some correlation that it's in the family, it's in the genes, it's in the blood, and
And this was the final conclusion of the study?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the case or not, but I certainly enjoyed sitting in the shop watching my grandmother, and that's, I think, my first taste of of business and entrepreneurship. Yeah,
I appreciate that. What would be your best piece of advice for a starting entrepreneur?
yeah. I think the best piece is is grit. Like so just keeping at it, keeping going. So the easiest, it's kind of easy to give up, and that's a bit of a cliche, but when I started in Scurri, we just started, and next thing we had the, kind of financial meltdown. So in 2010, and the European Union, the European Bank, came to Dublin to actually take over and supervise the economy on the day that I opened the business. So couldn't have been a worse time in one way. But on the other hand, just by keeping going, I just said, look, what can I do about that? Let's just focus on what you can work on, and just keeping at it. And there was many times it was very close. We were close to running out of money. We were close to, losing a customer, all kinds of different things. And sometimes it's just luck, right? Sometimes, you just have good luck or bad luck, but some ways you create it. So I think just my thing is just grit, keeping at it, keeping focused, believing in yourself. And I think that's half the battle. There's a lot of other things, but I think that's probably half the battle.
Thank you so much for this. I have one last question for you. What's your favorite software that you use, but apart from Scurri?
Yeah. So, believe it or not, it's Salesforce. So we use Salesforce, and there's a couple of reasons. One, and probably not so obvious. One is when you have Salesforce, when you're going through something like due diligence, somebody just goes, okay, I don't have to explain what that is, right? So you could take a competitor product, and then I found in cases, I would get a competitor product, like say it's cheaper, it'll work out better. It's not, it looks nicer or whatever. But when you come to actually do something like a DD, somebody just goes and goes, oh, they've got Salesforce, industry leading tick box. There's a lot of risk in a startup, so that's one bit of risk that you've mitigated against, and they all add up, I think. When you so picking a market leader. The second thing is that you get people who know how to use it. Then when you're hiring people, and you don't have to, you often don't have to train. So if you have some other really good CRM system, but nobody knows about it, there's a lot of effort in kind of training people and showing people how to get up to speed on that. So that's the second thing. And the third thing, it is quite flexible, and lots of add-ins, lots of plugins, and you can really get to do what you need to do with it. So I actually like it. Now, a lot of people give it a hard time, but I've worked with SAP and stuff like that, and often it's about how you put it in and what you do with it, rather than if you don't put it's like with anything, if you don't put the effort in, you don't get the results out. Yeah.
Yeah, those are my main questions for today's episode. If you have anything else that you want to share before closing it, this would be the moment.
Okay, well, no, thank you very much for having me along. One thing that I must say is next year I'm definitely going to get to the awards. Really sad that I missed it this year, because I had something on already, so I've already got the calendar marked off, and hopefully we'll get there to see the awards. So
you need to be on the
stage. Great job that you guys did. It was absolutely fantastic. So
thank you so much.
I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you so much, and see you in Dublin soon for SaaS Talk, right?
Yes, we'll see you in Dublin, and we'll see you in Dublin in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rory.